All right, tonight's dinner is a Cincinnati favorite. It's chili spaghetti, and it is amazing, especially when the weather starts to turn a little cooler. It's such a good cold weather or a cool weather meal. Chili spaghetti. So I've got 2 pounds of ground beef thawed out. I thawed it out in my sink today because it was frozen this morning. So that's thawed, 2 pounds. Because I'm doing 2 pounds, I'm going to use 2 seasoning packets. These are 99 cents to $1.99 each. I do have 2 different styles. That's all right. I got an original and I got a mild. It's going to taste delicious with the mixture. I also throw in a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. I am going to do spaghetti. Get my spaghetti going as well. Let's see. We've got one 16-ounce box of spaghetti. This is thin spaghetti. You can use regular spaghetti. It doesn't matter. So I've got water getting ready to boil. I got a skillet for my ground beef. Those are the 2 that you need to start with. And I'll show you the process. Chili spaghetti. Okay, here we are. I got my 2 pounds of ground beef in my skillet. Now, that's a lot of ground beef. I recommend 1 pound, but this meal is so good reheated. So if you have a lot of leftovers, that's okay because it tastes delicious leftover. So I'm browning this ground beef, and the more ground beef you use, the more grease that's going to be produced. So keep that in mind. No big deal. We're going to strain it anyway. After all the ground beef has browned, I'm going to put it in this strainer here and drain the grease. So that's the next step for the ground beef. In the meantime, I got my 16-ounce box of spaghetti in the pot boiling. And remember, every couple of minutes, you want to turn the spaghetti. You want to separate the noodles. You don't want them sticking together while they cook, or they'll stay stuck together. So just give them a turn every couple of minutes. They'll boil for about 10 minutes and they'll be good to go. And when they're done, I'm going to strain them as well, get rid of the water. And then we'll start making our chili spaghetti. And then another thing, the chili that I make for this meal is a thick chili. It's meaty. Some people prefer a soupy or a watery style chili, which is delicious. But for this particular meal, I use a meaty hamburger, meaty chili. So it just works out well for that. But you can make whatever you want. There's 1,000 different ways you can make chili. For this meal, this is how I do it. Okay, my ground beef has browned. It's been in the skillet over medium heat for about 10 minutes. That's 2 pounds worth, so it took a little bit longer. But it's brown, so it's time to strain the grease off of it. So I'm just going to pour all the contents of this skillet into this strainer in the sink. I'm going to run water while I do it because I want that grease to continue going down the pipes. I don't want it to stick and harden in the pipes, and have a backup. So that may be a helpful trick. Run some hot water as you strain the grease. My spaghetti's looking good. I've been turning it every couple of minutes. It looks really good. So once we strain the ground beef, we're actually going to put the ground beef back into the skillet, and we're going to add a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, and I'm adding 2 seasoning packets, 1 mild, 1 original. That's not on purpose. What I have in the cabinet, and that's fine though. And remember, when you're browning the meat, you want to get a good spatula. There's my spatula. It's solid. You want to chop that meat up. You don't want to just let it sit and brown without getting in there and chopping it up, keeping it off the bottom. So you don't want it to burn. You just want it to brown. So that's where I'm at now. I'm actually going to turn the heat down a little bit. Turn it down to 3. And I'm going to strain this ground beef. All right, that's what it's going to look like. I poured all the contents from the skillet into the strainer. Right now the grease is going down the drain. And I'm going to pour this ground beef back into the skillet. I'm going to reuse this strainer here in a couple minutes for my spaghetti, so I need to rinse this out. So my ground beef is back in the skillet without all that grease. Now I'm going to add an entire 15-ounce can of tomato sauce and 2 seasoning packets of chili. Once again, I've got 1 mild and 1 regular, 1 original. Want to get all the contents out. There we go. All right, so for the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to mix this up, let it simmer, let it cook all together to season that ground beef. My spaghetti's done. I'm going to turn that burner off. I'm going to strain that spaghetti, and we should be eating in 10 minutes. All right, I've pulled the spaghetti from the pot, put it in the strainer, which I cleaned out. I also added some butter, and all that does not only adds flavor, but it keeps the noodles from sticking together, and you don't want them to stick together while you're waiting on your ground beef mixture to finish. And there you go. I mixed it all together. The 2 seasoning packets, the tomato sauce, and the ground beef. So once again, once this is done, we're going to start with a plate of spaghetti and a secret ingredient to this. A shot of mustard, yellow mustard, on top of the spaghetti. Not a whole lot, but it gives it a great kick, and you won't regret it. You'll be thanking me later for that one. Then we'll put some this ground beef on top of the chili. Top it off with some shredded cheese. Today I've got some sharp cheddar. You can use whatever you prefer. And then if you like diced onion, if you're an onion fan, top it off with some diced onions, some crackers, whatever you want to do with this. It's a great, great meal. It reminds me of NFL time. You know, make it up before my Bengals play. I have a chili spaghetti throughout the game. So good. So I'll show you the finished product here in a minute. Okay, here's the first layer. I got my spaghetti on the plate. Now here's that little trick I said. A little shot of mustard. That's all you need. You may think it's crazy, but it does taste delicious. You don't have to do it. I prefer it. Okay, next is the chili. And there's the chili. Next is cheese. And there's the cheese. I found some oyster crackers, so I topped off my chili spaghetti with some oyster crackers, which is so good. So there you have it. That is chili spaghetti, a Cincinnati favorite, one of my favorites. Just spaghetti, ground beef, cheese, and I threw crackers on. You can throw lettuce. You can throw beans on. You can throw onion on. You can throw whatever you want on. It's your chili spaghetti. It's your preference. So there you go. Maybe 10 to 12 bucks total. I made 2 pounds of ground beef. You can do 1 and save the money. You don't need all that ground beef. So it would be 10 to 12 bucks for this entire meal, which is fantastic. You got tons of leftovers. Look at all my spaghetti I got left over. All the ground beef I've got left over. I'll be eating chili spaghetti for days. 6:41. Make sure you turn them burners off. And remember, they do stay hot. So don't touch them. Enjoy your chili spaghetti.